Nakitlong ka Ri Khasi. Ngiwan lam shapi ko sngur bakhuj parpashngam. Ka beats aqua. Shposnem dang yai pinja sliang.
Got your results? Looking for a new course in nursing and paramedical course? Admission open at one of the topmost colleges in the country, East-West Group of Institution Bangalore, recognized by Indian Nursing Council and Rajiv Gandhi University of Health Science. Choose your courses on your screen. Hurry up, limited seats available. For more details, you can contact the link given below. Ka Meghalaya Pradesh Congress Committee MPCC, Kalaka Noba ki Projek Hakani ka Jylla, La Yolo ki Kompeni ki Nabar. Karba ki Kontraktor Trai Jylla ki Peit Jaudot. Ka Congress Klakantu ka Sarkar Jylla Bakanthawi ka policy ban Baha ki Projek ki Bahe Chiki Kontraktor Trai Jylla Barkalapan Pai Vanjing Sokhya Baya ka Public Health Engineering Lani PHE Kala IT Shaka Kompeni ka Nabar Yakani ka Projek ka Blakot Shaka Khatkindai Spark Nur. Ujano Secretary ka Meghalaya Congress Uba Emmanuel Badwar Ulakamba ka niga jingle katanat PHE kapani pelen ka jingya day jong brio kibadon hakabor bar ki brio ka company parulabo jingkali bale ki contractor Trai muluk kimyo bintalang uba badwar uloong baka Jylla Meghalaya kadon shibon ki contractor Trai Jylla ki balapan shimti ban pindray yakni project balada ka sarkar ka ay hagni ka contractor Trai Jylla kan kiyo kayo ka kot na marbakan ay ka may jami ki brio hagni ka Jylla Henry habaai ki Nabar kin wanra ki brio ki Nabar Sudan. Ulakan turu ka sarkar pakan wanra ika policy ban ay bentai iki contractor Trai Jylla haba wanra ki project ki bahe ha Jylla.
So I got some information related to that even in the RTI that somebody had filed, right? There was no disclosure as to how was the contract even being given. Whether it was through a tendering process, whether the tendering process was correct or not wrong, we don't know. My understanding is very plain and simple. I have this firm belief that maybe the tendering process itself has been flawed. When I say flawed, in a sense that certain parameters were kept purposely for the party to get and to ensure that other parties do not get. And this usually happens when there's corruption. Yeah. Number two, having said that, please remember that any work related to water supply or even for that matter PWD, which is public related works, it's not rocket science. Yeah. It is not something which is impossible for people to do. It is not something that you have to bring a subject specialist or somebody who's really specialist into the matter of doing those kind of work. And to allocate nearly 2,000 crores, 1,900 crores, in excess of 1,900 crores to only one party is definitely what I call as chronic capitalism. Yeah. So which means that you are anyway playing the role of favoritism. You are allowing certain parties which only help yourself, and it's very indicative. We don't have to even go too deep into this. Yeah. Because I have this belief that there are many contractors even with the state. Yes, they might not be able to do up to that value, but definitely the technicalities of doing such a work is not something which is rocket science, which nobody can do. So to say that many contractors from the state themselves have been deprived of this work is something which we should not accept, because while infrastructure building, while developmental work is very important, but please remember that any developmental work, any infrastructure based work is also what in economics we call as it's like hiring a helicopter on top of a village and throwing money into the people so that the people can use that money, right? So, but of course, India is not in that level yet. India still has to develop a whole lot of infrastructure. So when the government has already earmarked certain locations or certain things to be done for the state, that money has to percolate down to the public at large, right? And for that money to percolate down to the public at large, it has to go through certain channels. And this channel cannot be only a one-man show. This channel has to be divided amongst many other people. I think many other political leaders also have spoken about this. I think it's very important that these are the economic activities which actually uplift society in terms of economic development and so on and so forth. And to treat this as something in which is highly prejudiced, which only allows a certain section of society to enter, or only allow to favor a certain people, is highly wrong, yeah. And I think it should be the government should look into this a little bit more seriously, and it should not be allowed as such per se. And I believe so that the press is taking this not taking this lightly at all, and it's very nice that you are following up again on this. And I think the pressure has to keep on going even from our side, yeah. So what the government will do, it depends on what the government thinks, right? It's not for me to say. It's not for me not to say also. The thing is, we leave it to the wisdom of the government at large. But of course, being a spectator from outside, we realize that there's something definitely wrong in the way things are being done. And while obviously in any government you can't topple them from things like this, but in the future it's up for the public at large to understand that whether is this government really serious about economic development and showing that wealth creation is happening to everybody in society, or it just wants to identify a certain section, the top notch, the creme de la creme of the people's society, and make them prosper. That's up to the government to decide. Yeah? See, there needs to be a policy, okay, and it should be policy driven, right? There should be extreme transparency. That's definitely very, very important. And in Shillong also, I think that online form of tendering is something which has to be taken. It has to be done. And who will participate, who will get the opportunity to get there, will also have to be developed. And visibility amongst the public at large, who really wants to gather the information as to whether it has been given out of fair practices or unfair practices, that also has to come out, yeah. While the government departments as of today is like a roadblock, yeah? It's very difficult to penetrate in, right? And if you know that the RTI laws also are changing from time to time, and it seems as if the government itself as a system is trying to hide a lot of things, and I think this is not right for the democracy as such per se. And I believe that at least as far as the state is concerned, there should be a mechanism, and there should be a policy-driven mechanism to ensure that the transparency is the most critical part of the entire building or exercise of these kind of work. Yeah?
Lily, Pikalan.
Kanda pi Trai kami ka bisa. Balik itu na hadu kami.
Kenapa kami kami?
Mana bawan kata baci? Kau lawan.
Lawan kamu.
Ila kham stom mentah.
Bila su palan. Wan num dan jeng tiang ni ai. Mentah tu penhiar mensiam suki bat ngamo.
Kali jong na kan ni? Ba, ka hospital te kala ajngai nang ni. Kabai kali pan?
Kabai kali latip ke sarkar.
Pintia shua hang ni hadu nda de por kamu.
Wat ku selaitan.
Ba kan dekat skim kalau ya rap cibun ya kilong yang kum jong pi.
Shim kene ka bam. Ku beli shibun sister. Ngiran kaman siwi ai.
Yang perut kalau hika sarkar.
Ku beli shibun. Ila dan aku jaga ka babyang.
सरकार का जरब ikit kiba aplang.
Kublai shibun.
Sister, hap siu kat no ma?
Ka sarkar kalak siulat ikijing lut jing separo.
Kablay sibuan ma.
Ngi ki bakar do ngampoi perkhat banyo kompeni kejing yarap. Hawat kan?
Kanika Chief Minister Safe Motherhood Scheme. Kala ay jing rap yang isibon bah ki patba.